Welcome to the latest podcast. In view of recent football results, I need a bit of a lift. So we are at DKW Precision Engineering.
Thank you, Colin. Loving your new mode of transport. Just be careful on that. No accidents, health and safety and all that. Carl, we're inside the machine shop here, specifically on the milling section. That's where today's vodcast is going to start. Let's have a look at the parts. Let's get straight into it. On this Dugard machine, you are manufacturing, what is this?
Well, Paul, this is for the aerospace industry, and it's part of a component that essentially lets aircraft systems know where their flight control surfaces are. So it's a very critical component, very tight tolerances. It's got to be right.
Are you doing a lot in the aircraft market?
We are now. We always have done. Because of the plant and equipment and processes we're investing in, we're moving more and more into aerospace. In fact, Paul, we're looking to move to AS9100 within the next 2 years.
The machine behind us is a Dugard 1000. I'm assuming that that's doing the drilling and the tapping of this part. You've got some internal features. What are you doing those on?
These internal features and boards are done on our SV32, which is our largest capacity sliding head lathe from Star. We've got 8 stars in total. We use the SV because of the size of the material and the JBS guide bush in an SV32, so we can machine uneven bar sizes, and this is extruded material, so it's not concentric, it's not that round, and it's not very tied up tolerance-wise. So
mainly you're turning internally, and then you're doing the drilling and tapping. So to put myself on the spot, if I was to say, because you've got to remain competitive in today's market, but I would say that making something like that in 5 minutes.
If we were on the 5-minute side of things, I'd be very disappointed. We're comfortably under 3 minutes, and
start to finish.
Yeah, button to button. The longest operation on this is loading it manually on the 4th axis. Because of the type of extrusion it is, we need to drive it off the internals, so you have some manual handling. All
right, so I was a bit out. Let's go on to the next machine.
Okay.
So I like what you've got here, Carl. You've got a 5-axis unit or 5th-axis unit on your feeler VMC. What are you actually making on here?
So, Paul, on here we're making a component for the medical industry. This is a part that we manufacture from engineered plastic. Typically these parts are very low quantity because they're prototype components, and once they're through their approval stages, they then go to volume. We can now machine these parts competitively using a 3+2. In fact, they're not injection molded. We're machining them complete now. So.
And why did you go for this as a solution here? You've got a full 5-axis machine essentially, but you've got it using a 3-axis VMC with a 2-axis table.
Yeah, I mean there are several reasons for that. On our initial investment, we didn't have a huge demand for 5-axis work. So it was a bolt-on, an add-on to our service. We take the 3+2 unit because it's so compact off of the machine when we don't need it.
And that layman table, fast, precise, accurate?
It's very fast, it is accurate, very accurate. It's been back on its service schedule. We get good support from Lehman and UK.
And I want to challenge myself again on this because I have looked at this part, and I'm assuming you're machining the outsides, the internal features, then turning it over and second op in the back, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
So if I said that something like that, maybe just over 10 minutes?
You're getting closer, not too bad. Because of the type of material, we're actually 8.5, nearly 9 minutes on it.
Okay, that's not bad. I'm not far away, actually.
Very close, yeah.
All right, let's go and have a look at the jewel in the crown, which is your Doosan HP 5100.
Let's go.
So this machine, is this your biggest investment from a milling perspective?
Yes, Paul, yeah, it is a considerable investment for us on the milling.
And it is a production machine, this horizontal machining centre from Doosan. These are typical parts that you're making, are they?
These are a good spread of the volume components we manufacture on this machine, yeah.
Now, you mentioned about a component in the nuclear industry. Can you talk me through that one?
Yeah, so this component is 316L stainless steel, billeted. We manufacture these parts on the Doosan, twin pallet.
In significant volumes?
Batches of 220, 250, repeats reasonably regularly.
So would you be running this machine overnight then? Would you lights out?
We would run it into the night because we don't close our last shift till 12:30 at night anyway, and we start again at 6 in the morning. There's only a few hours there to run unattended, so it will run 2-3 hours into the night unattended.
And have you ever thought about going one step more with automation, so maybe you could have this loaded even if it was this part or something else.
We've looked at robot loading, but for a twin pallet, really for us it's not there yet because of the volume. We get the benefit of no downtime because of the twin pallet setup anyway. So
you've got a really good spread on milling. You've got vertical machining centre, twin pallet, or not a twin pallet, but a fifth axis machining centre, and also then the HMC.
that's correct. And we've got 2 twin pallet machines, 3 verticals, manual, and a lot of milling capacity on our mill turn centres as well.
Okay, now all of these parts need measuring, and I know that Mark, he doesn't measure up at much, but he is with Steve in the metrology area, and he's going to tell us about how DKW do measure up.
Paul, thanks very much. Talking about measuring size, better not talk about your waist size. Now, Steve, DKW Engineering, we're in your metrology department. Tell us a little bit more about what you do here, but also some of the products you have.
Well, in the inspection department, we're a standard engineering company. We have CMMs, we have shadow graphs, we have a surface testers, we have a laser scanner over there as well. And primarily, the guys come in with their first offs, we check the work, make sure it's okay for production use, and then in final inspection, we come in again and we just check the items, that's all.
Now, one of the biggest products you have here is the MTD CMM. Could you tell us a little bit more how you get on with this product?
Well, we've had it now about 19 years, so we're pretty familiar with the product, and Mitutoyo is a good make. And we are now looking to expand in the future and get a CNC CMM. So hopefully we can make that purchase, that next step up.
And why is that?
Speed, really, to be honest. It's ideal having 2 as well, because the lads can still use the other one for doing just simple checks. But if we have the CNC version, we can multi-load it and it'll be a lot quicker.
And tell me a little bit more about the backup you get from Mitutoyo.
Well, that's superb, and we actually been with them, I say, about 20 years now. They come in every year to service the CMM, never a problem. They do shadow graphs as well for us. And we buy most of our hand measuring equipment from them as well.
I think the service that I hear from engineers from Mitutoyo is absolutely fantastic, and obviously the next generation of the CMM, what would that give you, something a little bit more different to what you've got here?
Well, it is purely to the speed, and hopefully that will make all the difference, because it is quite a cutthroat business at the moment, and we need to make sure we're competitive, make sure the products are right first time, and make sure the customer stays happy.
And some of the materials that you work on with your customers here, what advantage does the CMM offer in relation to Inconel, for instance, and some other exotic metals that you cut here?
Well, certain materials can move around under certain temperatures, but this is a temperature-controlled room, and items here are checked under that conditions as well, and the accuracy, so it's, hopefully stays well.
Steve, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Now, I'm going to pass over to Joe. Joe is at the backbone of DKW Engineering, which are the star machines. He has a little twinkle.
Mark, your jokes never measure up. Andy, this is your latest star, but it's not the only one you have, is it?
No, this is one of 8 that we've already got in the factory. We've had this particular one for about 1.5 years now, and we've had great success with it since we've had it. The best thing about this particular machine we have is the B-axis, which allows us to do angular drilling, milling, and various other features that have made life easier for us. Reducing ops, particular job we do. We used to do in about 2 or 3 ops. Because of the angular drilling, it'd have to go over to the 3+2, and now we can do it over here complete.
So that's a big saving. Can you quantify it?
Oh, we certainly can. It's been a big saving in obviously time, setup, costing, just an overall thumbs up, really, to be honest, on the machine.
And you keep buying Star, presumably you're happy, you're going to continue to invest in that technology?
Yeah, we find them to be a very versatile machine, really easy to use, very user-friendly. I can't really find much faults in them apart from my own personal preference. They're a little bit low for me, but you can't please everyone, can you?
And I know we're doing an Inconel job over in the Doosan, so let's go and take a look at that.
Yeah, by all means.
So Andy, you've got the Puma 2600 SY as well. You happy with the machine?
Yeah, it's quite a robust bit of kit here, particularly for the particular job we're doing right at the moment, Joe. We're using Inconel billets at the moment. Obviously the machine's got the power and the torque to be able to punch through it with ease, obviously with the right tooling as well. We've got a U-drill 40mm diameter, cutting at 500 RPM with a 0.1 feed, and then it just chips like it was cutting through butter, to be honest.
That's a good endorsement, because 6 to 18 canal, it's a challenging material, and 40mm, it's a decent size U-draw.
It certainly is, Joe. It's you do need the torque with it, tools of that size to be able to cut through. I mean, you wouldn't be able to do it on any of our particular other machines we've got in the factory at the moment. So yeah, it's just it works really well for us. Don't know what we'd do without it, to be honest.
So what other features do you like on the machine? How's the Y-axis hold up?
Yeah, the Y-axis is pretty good. We do a few jobs on here now where we've got to do a bit of helical milling to rough out some bores, just to try and get rid of the swarf. We do have certain materials where it's a little bit difficult to try and get rid of the swarf using the conventional boring. So helical milling down the bottom, having the Y-axis allows us to get rid of the swarf in a more manageable way, to be able to finish the product off to customer requirements.
It's a FANUC control, you've got FANUC throughout the shop, is that a big point as well?
Yeah, obviously every other machine we've got on here is FANUC, so it's better for us to keep it that way. That way everyone can jump on pretty much every machine and they pretty much know what they're doing straight away, and you don't have to start teaching or remembering the different controls all the time.
Andy, the C200 Index, it's your latest purchase here. Why did you select this machine tool?
We bought this to do a group of family parts that we're invested in doing. Obviously the machine is very versatile for these particular family of parts that we're going to be doing. The joys of having this particular machine is having the triple turrets and the twin spindle. Obviously with the back end, the single turret on the back end, you've just got the X and Z. But you've got the 2 turrets which can work on both the counter and the sub spindle. The joys of having the lower and upper turret to work on the counter spindle is you can do balance turning, milling, obviously you can finish turn and bore, you can do pretty much what you like, which allows us to save a lot of time on jobs which have been done on other machines.
But this isn't your only twin turret machine. Well, this is in fact 3 turrets, but I know you've got a twin turret WT150, so let's go and take a look at this machine. How long have you had the Nakamura?
We've had the Nakamura WT150 for about 5.5 years now, 6 years now. Obviously, as you said earlier, Joe, it is a twin turret, twin spindle. Yet again, you can do balance machining on this, which is a great feature. A particular job that we've been doing on here, which used to be out of casting, we now do out of solid bar, which is you can see on the table there. We do single point broaching on this, tool supplied by Horn, and it's just a great all-round machine for what we need to do.
And what material is this?
This particular job is made out of 316 stainless steel, and it's 2.5 inch bar, and roughly off the top of my head cycle time maybe 10 to 12 minutes ish.
But if you're broaching 316 stainless, you need a good machine tool, don't you?
You certainly do. This has got the power and the durability to be able to hit it hard and fast without causing too much issues.
I know the Y-axis is a huge selling point for the WT150. How have you found the Y-axis?
Yeah, it's been a great feature on the machine, and we also have C-axis work on both the counter and main spindle, which obviously allows us to do quite a bit of milling if we need to on the counter spindle. Just yet again another all-round good machine for us.
And this job here is 316, but do you machine anything more challenging?
Yes, we do. We do a lot of Inconel jobs. We're doing a particular job at the moment on one of our other machines out of Monel. It's quite a challenging material to work with, but as usual we find our way around it and investing in the right tooling.
Let's go and take a look at that job. So Andy, this component looks a bit different. What is it?
This particular component, Joe, is called an adapter, which we used to produce on one of our other older machines. We moved it over to the Miano, purely and simply because it'd be quicker, faster and more efficient. This particular job will run all day long, especially being made out of alley. We can run it all day, all night without any major issues.
Okay, thank you, Andy. And Colin, I know you're not allowed on the shop floor, but what are you doing upstairs?
Joe, thank you for that. Yes, I appreciate my skills are probably better suited in the boardroom. I'm going to have a chat with Nick from DKW. Nick, tell me a little bit about your company.
Well, the company was formed 47 years ago. We have personally owned the business and bought it 30 years ago this year, with the backing from our bankers, Barclays, and above all, my parents who gave us the deeds to actually borrow the money in the first place to start the company. The most pleasing moment was actually giving them back their deeds 2 years later.
Excellent, must be very satisfying. What about succession?
Succession is fantastic. We have 2 of our sons that have joined the business, but Carl and Daniel. Neither are at Platonic, they've had to go out and earn their way in. And hopefully, eventually, we have our grandchildren join us.
Excellent, so nice bit of succession.
Yes.
What about what makes your company successful?
Well, obviously, we've got financial astuteness. And above all, from an engineering point of view, we're all engineers, so we've got a backing from that end of it. Our banking is exceptional with what we get from assistance from there, and the ability to purchase and acquire the right machines to do the right job to produce the right parts of companies.
You also mentioned earlier, I think, customers being very loyal.
Customers are extremely loyal. Honesty and integrity from both parties have made it what it is today.
Got you. And you mentioned investment there.
Continual investment. We've invested not far short of 1.3 million in the last 2 years.
So keeping things up to date. It's not just about the machines though, is that right?
It's not just machines, it's the staff. The staff are excellent. We train them. We have apprentices. We've had continual apprentices even when we first started the company. In fact, we have 3 at the present moment.
Excellent. And looking around the machine shop again, the systems in place?
Systems, we have Javelin on our MRP system, which helps us control everything. We have Randex storage systems, Matrix systems through ISCAR, and Sage on all the accountancy side. So we have complete control of everything.
Nick, thank you very much for that. I think it's a great example of staff, family, investment and technology.
Makes it all successful. Thank you.
Do you know that DKW Engineering, they actually manufacture this here for Rolls-Royce?
Do you know what they manufacture it on?
A machine tool, possibly.
Possibly.
Not a Ford Focus then?
No.
No, it's my new car,
One
guys.
for you, Colin, a spare for yours.
Absolutely. So we had great insight to what DKW do. What about MTDCNC? What have you guys been up to this month?
You start, Mark.
Well, a couple of weeks ago I was in Austria with WFL on behalf of Car Machine Tools. They launched their biggest ever machine, the M200. It is absolutely huge. It's for mainly the oil and gas market, and it can actually hold 60 tonnes. It's amazing, it's a beast.
Is there going to be a big demand for that?
I think so, yeah. I mean, existing clients, that's what it's there for. It's actually been manufactured because of the customer's needs.
Is that the one with actually so big it go dig it into the ground?
Yeah, they need a base to put it in. Yeah. It's new technology. It's taken 3 years of design to off the old platforms, what they've been designing. 18 months to build.
Did you actually do a review of the machine while you were there?
Yes, yeah. And that will be coming out on MTD very shortly.
Would you buy one?
If I had the money, yes.
I bet you barter though.
Obviously.
So Joe, what about you? What you've been up to?
Busy as always, but been to Filtermist UK. It's actually the global headquarters of Filtermist, recently bought by the Absolent Group. We've reviewed their the Filtermist units, which they use here at DKW, but also their product they're probably not quite so known for is their centralised systems. So instead of having the Filtermist unit on every machine tool, you have one central unit for all of the machines to come off. JLR, Jaguar Land Rover, have just put one into their engine plant in Wolverhampton. Don't quote me, but it's about 3.5 kilometres of ducting.
Do they do all the ducting and all the installation as well?
Everything. They design it on CAD and actually install it, obviously. And they're owned by Absolent now, so it's actually their product, their OEM.
In a small machine shop, would it not be more cost efficient, and I don't know, to have one unit per machine? Or is it better to have?
Well, there's pros and cons to one machine, yeah, definitely. But just here at DKW, you've got 2 star machines, and it's got one centralised unit for both machines, that it can handle it. If you've only got a couple of machines, you're probably right for you're going to go and filter mist. But if you were building from the ground up with 20, 30 machines, why not just put one unit in? It's only one filter to clean, isn't it? Yeah. Or certainly less filters. So.
Yeah. What about you, Paul? What have you been up to?
Very interesting trip to MJ Engineering, where we looked at lots of the machines they've got there. Specifics, I talk about the Belia. They've got a Belia 750 there, which is a huge heavy-duty turning centre. Straight 2-axis machine, but some of the componentry that they're machining there, Hastelloys, Inconels, really moving material.
Didn't they have it made bespoke in terms of the amount of tools and things?
The thing was, David there was talking about there are lots of options in the market for two-axis lathes, but he opted for the Belia, although the lead time was considerably longer than other machines. And he was like, well, you know, could you afford to wait that time? He said, actually, for the quality of machine that I got, it was worth every day extra or week extra.
Who sells that product now in the UK?
That's White House Machine Tools, but they'd also got a spinner machine there, which was a multi-axis machine, which was doing their more volume component manufacture. We also looked at the microlock system. They had one of their Doosan BMCs had a huge microlock, covered the whole table, and you often see a lot of microlock kits around, and they might be slightly smaller depending on the application, but MJ Engineer decided to fill the whole table with this system.
What type of sectors do they work in then?
They're in various sectors. I mean, it could be aerospace. They have done oil and gas work, F1. So they're a subcontractor. They used to have a pretty small facility, but over the last few years they've grown into a bit of an establishment like this at DKW.
They've got a big cell with mills as well, haven't they?
Yep, yeah, they've got the Doosan machines there too. So that was a good one.
Yeah. Another one, the Romy Open House.
Oh, yes.
It was a few weeks ago now. Very well turned out event. They had obviously the injection moulding side, the more traditional machining side. They had 3D printing.
So what did we do differently in that respect?
Well, we hosted the event, for want of a better term. We were filming each and every day. We filmed before the event to promote it, and indeed after the event.
We were filming on the day, and then publishing the footage in the afternoon. So saying to people, if you know about Romy or you don't know about Romy and you want to have a look at what's here tomorrow, look at today's footage. So it's instant. The way we're going.
Yeah. Well, there was, I think we did in the first 3 days had over 1,000 views. I think the DCM 525 axis is probably the most popular video. In fact, the most popular machine tool on the day as well, actually.
And then Mark.
Yeah, Switzerland was last week on behalf of Starrag Group. They had their turbine technology days.
You've been doing a lot overseas here.
Well, you know, obviously trying to keep Europe together, Colin. You know.
Moving on quickly. Moving on.
But no, Starrag big into blade manufacturing, turbines, the aerospace engine side. Going to have some really good videos coming out of those guys on the site, probably in a couple of weeks' time.
I think that's a very good point. We talk about the Brexit, what is now, and the video that we produced with Will Sterling on that was watched. It was over 1,000 times in the first 3 days, and the retention, people were watching that video for 20-25 minutes, so it did attract a lot of attention. Obviously the votes happened and we're out of the EU, but there is some positivity around it. There's lots of engineering companies that are actually saying, you know, things haven't changed and they're not going to change, and equally so are, you know, importers and exporters in their opinion.
Well, talking to Carl and some of the guys here, you know, they export a lot here, but you know, it won't change a lot for them.
But if you're good at what you do, you don't become bad overnight, do you? So if you're good at what you do and you don't change anything, or you look to invest, look to improve, you're going to succeed.
You adapt, don't you? Of course. But also moving on that video, we're doing another one.
Yeah, I was with Will Sterling again at the Future of Wireless event, which is about the Internet of Things, which is about how in every industry, in every sector, the internet is kind of running the show, and the digital world means that nowadays you potentially aren't selling a product as a manufacturer, but you're selling a service, and you're being able to respond and be more cost efficient because of the internet. So you can essentially streamline your processes in the digital world.
Bit like us.
Absolutely. There's a lot to that video. It's a very in-depth conference, and there's a lot to be learned. And a lot of subcontractors might look at it and say, well, you know, what do I need to know about Industry 4? What do I need to know about the Internet of Things? You need to know, because supply or your customers eventually are going to be demanding.
Cyber security and comes from people like JLR downwards, isn't it?
Yeah, you'll just be in the mix of a supply chain. You'll automatically receive orders, and that's just the basics, isn't it?
Guys, I'm going to have to wrap it up there because my lift's arrived. So thank you very much. A great month at MTDCNC, and I'll see you next time.
Safe journey, Colin.
Drive careful.
No, that's all for you. See you later. Anyway, do you know how long this takes to actually machine here at DKW?
26 minutes.
Too long. How do you know that? Did you ask?
I'm an engineer.
Did he just crash that truck?
Not kidding.
Colin.